all know the story of Sarah, the barren wife of Abraham, who, at the ripe old age of 90, gave birth to a son called Isaac. With his wife Rebekah, Isaac fathered Esau and Jacob. Jacob later became known as Israel and fathered 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. But it will do us well today to also remember the story of Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian slave girl. It's safe to assume that Hagar had no choice in the matter. She didn't choose to be Sarah's servant girl, nor did she choose to enter Abraham's tent and bear his child. These decisions were made for her. After Hagar conceived, Sarah believed that Hagar dealt with her contemptuously, and so she dealt with her harshly. Exhausted, oppressed, pregnant, Hagar ran away. The Bible tells us that she fled into the wilderness and was met by an angel of the Lord at a spring of water. The angel of the Lord called Hagar to return to her mistress, promising that not only would her son live, but that he would also father a great nation with many descendants. And the angel said to her, "You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your misery." And then Scripture tells us that Hagar gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her: "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." There is beautiful reciprocity here, as the Lord names Hagar's son, and then Hagar, in turn, names the Lord. The Lord named the child Ishmael, which means the Lord hears, and Hagar named the Lord El Roi, the God who sees me. Years later, after Sarah finally conceived her own child, she sent Hagar and Ishmael back into the wilderness. Destitute and homeless, Hagar held on to the promises of the angel of the Lord and called upon El Roi, the Lord who sees me. Even when no one else could see her, even though she was powerless and hopeless, Hagar knew that there was a God who saw her and cared for her. Now, I don't want to draw a false equivalence between Hagar's experience as a slave girl and our own circumstances today as mothers, but the truth remains. If the Lord saw Hagar, a destitute slave girl in the wilderness, then he sees you. On Mother's Day, we say to our mothers, "We see you," with vases full of flowers, breakfast in bed, and warm hugs and smiles from doting children. But the Lord sees you, dear mothers, each and every day. He sees you as you fold load after load after load of laundry, faithfully serving your family. He sees you as you sacrifice your sleep for your hungry infant or your crying toddler. He sees you as you stand over the stove, only to have your meal offerings plastered on the walls or thrown under chairs. He sees you managing budgets and spending, giving up your own desires so your children have everything that they need. He hears you as you cry out for his wisdom, as you care for your wayward children. He sees you, single mothers, as you tirelessly strive to be both father and mother in your children's lives. He sees you, adoptive and stepmothers, as you faithfully love and raise the children you have received into your home and your heart. He hears you, weeping in the night, pleading for healing for your sick child. He sees your tears for the child that you have had to bury. He sees you waiting by the phone for a call or a text from your children who seem to have all but forgotten you. And for those of you this Mother's Day who are mourning the loss of your own mother, the Lord sees you too. He sees you as you grieve the dysfunctional relationship you endured with your mother. He sees you as your unmet desires to have your own children are even more painful today. Wherever you are and whatever your burden, the Lord sees you. And He has not left you without hope. Just like Hagar was called to continue pressing on in obedience, despite her circumstances, so too does He call you to continue pressing on in obedience. We press on in obedience as the knowledge and certainty that the Lord who sees you and who hears you also loves you and walks alongside you. Even on the days where there are no flowers in vases, no breakfast in bed, no warm hugs and smiles from doting children, the Lord sees you. Happy Mother's Day.